Coming to you live from this week's Apocalypse television studio control room. It's This Week's Apocalypse. I am your co-host, executive script editor, casting director, and just sort of general production assistant, Kevin Lenihan. With me, as always, is executive producer, John Ferris. John, how do you feel about your extremely nebulous title?
I'd be fine. I'm fine with the title. More concerned with that punch-up we had in an alleyway there for like 10 minutes.
Well, I blame television for that.
Yeah.
Or possibly radio, or possibly the news. Maybe? Is it the news that's causing violence? I was going to say children there. I don't think
we're very big old children.
We are big old, hairy, decrepit children.
As my mother would say, a brave, hairy-arsed child.
A brave, hairy-arsed child. That's us. We're one brave, hairy-arsed child.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so of course we're in a pickle, you know. Is television making us violent, John? Are we being controlled by television? Is it an evil influence?
It's a tough question. I don't know the answers to. I don't know the answers to many questions.
Yeah, well, John, I've seen a lot of movies, and you know who I find generally tends to have the answers?
3, 2,
Who?
1.
American film directors.
Okay.
I sense your hesitation, but in order to prove my point and also save the world from the potentially corrupting influence of transmitted media, John, I have 3 movies here that I'd like you to watch with me. And then I'm going to just give you a sort of a lengthy and sort of judgmental lecture about all the things you're doing wrong and how you shouldn't stare. You know, you'll get square eyes if you stare at the TV. Did you know that, John?
I have a feeling I might be able to fire. I'm going to have to check.
You are executive producer, so I should probably watch my goddamn mouth.
You better watch. No, none of this lip. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's too late now. I'm all in. I feel like
go for it.
I feel like I can't screw this up.
It's
anymore.
even better because now you've nothing to lose, so you can really stick it to the man.
Yeah, I can stand up here and shout and proselytize. Yes. So the first film I'm going to make you watch is They Live. From 1988, directed by John Carpenter.
Okay.
You know, I had to
never heard of him, but we'll give him a go.
Fair enough. Then we have Videodrome from 1983, directed by David Cronenberg. Returning this week again for the second time. Well done, David. He's becoming a recurring character too.
Oh dear! Do I have to make a jingle for Cronenberg?
No, I'm not. I'm not making the Cronenberg jingle. I can't.
Cronenberg.
I can't fist. I almost just want to use that, but we'll see if I do.
Cronenberg.
Okay.
That was pretty good. All right. So, yes, that's Videodrome. And then we have, from 1976, the film Network, directed by Sidney Lumet. Is it Lumet or Lumet?
I watched it, because I always thought it was Lumet. I watched an interview recently with them, and the interviewer said Lumet, and he wasn't corrected. So either Sidney is just very polite, or it's Lumet.
So it could still be both, basically.
Yeah, bloody Americans. Bloody Americans, you know, I bet you it's Lumet, but it's those Americans
let's just
pronouncing their T's.
Yeah. Well, a minute ago I was praising the American film directors for knowing all, and now I'm saying they know nothing. So let's
even know their own names.
Indeed. Let's watch these movies and determine whether or not that is in fact true. All right, John. I'm feeling sort of a strange sort of rising. I don't know what it is. Some kind of. I don't know if it's aggression or if it's the desire to shop and do the opposite of aggression and be passive.
Consume, maybe.
Consume and obey.
Yeah.
Maybe. So, you know, on that note. What did you think of John Carpenter's They Live?
I love They Live. I mean,
so do I. Sorry for interrupting. I just can't.
Of course you do. I was actually
can't.
going to say, and I know you do.
I just couldn't stop. I just couldn't let you go on there. I've been so excited to talk about this, all these films. To be honest, yes, isn't it great, John? Tell me why. Tell me why it is somewhat flawed, but still great.
Yeah. Oh, it's so flawed, but it's like some of those flaws add so much. Like the ridiculous, as we alluded at the start there, the ridiculous, very long fight scene between between. I was going to say our two leads, but Roddy Piper's really our lead, and Keith David.
Roddy Piper is our protagonist. Let's say first supporting character. Actor Keith David.
I love that Roddy Piper's character has a like he has a motivation to like really fight for this long and be this extreme with it. Yeah. But Keith David's character literally just does not want to wear sunglasses.
Yeah,
that's why he's fighting.
I feel like he doesn't. He's the guy who he doesn't want to get roped into anything.
Yeah,
and yet, and just because he's nice to this guy decides, oh no, you're the guy I'm gonna rope into this.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's brilliant though. It is very flawed. Like the music, some of the music is very reminiscent of
John Carpenter's
Vampires. Yeah, it's this like repetitive, like bluesy thing.
Yeah.
Although I kind of like later when they're getting a bit more when they're about to tackle the aliens and stuff, they add this like snare drum, like this like militaristic, like a wee and I kind of find that hilarious. But the message in this movie is great though. He starts seeing through it. It's ridiculous, but if you go into with the right attitude, like not approaching it with too serious of an attitude, you'll love it. It's kind of campy and just bizarre.
It's brilliant. I think it's a brilliant concept because it's stupid, but it's still kind of cool.
Yeah.
It's the fact that he has these what are essentially magical sunglasses that he can put on, and then he can see things as they really are. And there is just something cool about him having this little accessory that he can just put on and take off whenever he wants to see the real world. I think there's something really, really cool about that. And you can't understate his performance, I think, because like this is a guy who was for a long time a wrestler, and he continued to be a wrestler. I mean, I remember seeing Roddy Piper, or Rowdy Roddy Piper, as he was known when he was on the TV throughout like the sort of early 90s after this as well. And he would go on to play one of my favorite characters in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the Maniac. And he was so good in that. He's great. He's really well cast in this anyway.
Definitely.
As sort of a beefy sort of an everyday guy who is also an unnaturally beefy large man, which works for like a lot of the stuff later whenever he's fighting Keith David, especially that fight. God. Oh my god! But the concept is great. So the concept basically is something's going on in the world. It's the 80s. There's recession, hard to get a job, and yet there is this flourishing sort of upper middle class, of sort of yuppies who are inexplicably doing really well, while everyone else is doing worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. Little bit reminiscent of how things maybe are today in the world. I don't want to be too much of a downer, but
I mean, this is going to be a common thread with the three of these movies. That
extremely
time has actually probably made all three of these movies more relevant in frightening ways. Absolutely frightening ways. And I mean, the for as ridiculous and like campy as this movie is at times. And like he's walking into banks shooting up, like he's killed to everyone else, he's just randomly shooting people.
He seems like a psychopath because of the things he's doing.
And he's just like strolling out then. You know, he's managing to get away very, very easy. Like, you know, that stuff is kind of laughable in a way.
Yeah, he just danders out the back door and then walks off.
Like the police
and then he is essentially fine.
And the police are like driving by in the distance, like idiots.
Yeah.
But
there's one cop who essentially just pisses himself and runs away.
Yeah. But it also has these like really kind of poignant moments where there's the bulldozers going through the shanty town,
the homeless encampment.
that
he's staying at. Yeah,
and like there's stuff like that it almost feels like it shouldn't work. Those scenes shouldn't work with the rest of it, but John Carpenter manages to balance it all and make this kind of fun experience that you can glean a bit more out of. And you know, I don't know, it is incredible in a way because it's like a dumb clever movie. It's
conceptually, like, again, I've said the concept is cool. It is silly at its core, but it's executed very, very well. And there's still something I felt a little flutter, you might say, a little bit. The point where he first puts on the glasses and he sees this sign and it says "obey" on it, and there's just something so powerful about that image. Of the contrast, like, because it does that a couple of times where he takes the glasses off and puts them back on, and you see the advertisement, and then you see it just saying "obey." Mm-hmm. It's such a powerful juxtaposition of those two images, and you're like, "Yep, I get it." And you're like. I am, when I see that, I'm immediately on board with the entire premise of this film now, because that is so striking and speaks to me in a way on a personal level.
And everything through the glasses is black and white. Like when it's showing you the view from the glasses, from the lens, it's black and white, and like even that makes sense, you know, conceptually, to know that this is, without kind of getting into the. You know, these things are always more complicated. It is, the black and white of it is just, this is what advertising is. This is what all this consumerism does. You know, and like even the design of the aliens, it kind of looks a bit ridiculous, but at the same time, I read something that John Carpenter wanted. Like he wanted them to look almost like decaying corpses.
Yeah, which they do, because they've got like they've no lips.
Yeah.
You know, they've just got teeth out there, and their eyes are all wide and glassy, and their skin does look like it's putrefied slightly on their faces, at least.
Especially when you start with like kind of in the last third, you see some of them kind of without the use of the sunglasses, so they're in color now, and they're like a weird kind of reddy blue.
Yeah,
mix.
Once you see them in the way that everyone else can now see them, or whatever, that is supposed to be like the real world, and you're like, oh yeah, that's disgusting.
And like, even apparently, I haven't listened to the commentary on this video, and I really should, because apparently Roddy Piper and John Carpenter just kind of talk random bullshit for most of it, and
that is every John Carpenter friggin' commentary ever. I don't know if I've mentioned it in this show. I've definitely talked to you about it before. But there is the series of films that he did with Kurt Russell. So it's The Thing, Escape from New York, and Big Trouble in Little China.
Yeah,
are like, if you listen to them and the director's commentary in order, it's like 3 episodes of a podcast of two friends who haven't seen each other in a bit.
Yeah,
catching up, and they're just like it's like the commentary is like, it's like a series, it's like a franchise. It's like the commentary on one is the sequel to the last one. Where you're like, oh, here's the thing they were talking about the last time. They must have done this over, like, it feels like they recorded them in maybe 2 or 3 months between each one, and they're just like catching up on what's happened in between.
See, that's kind of
all of his commentaries seem to be like that.
I love that. I love
and
that.
Like, they barely talk about the film in those 3. But every now and then they'll say something interesting. I'm like, oh, but mostly they're just being like, all right, so
how's the kids?
Yeah, what's your son? What's your son doing now? And he's like, Kurt Russell's like, yeah, I just bought my son a guitar and they're chatting away about that. And you're like, that guy's head just come off and crawled away. Do you want to talk about that for a minute? No, all right, cool.
See, I kind of like that. That's the way it should be. Well, apparently in the commentary for this, Roddy Piper says that he was the first wrestler to kind of be made into an actor, and at the time certainly, and for a long time, the kind of most successful at it, in the sense that this movie is pretty damn good, and I'd
say until Dwayne Johnson came along, he was the only wrestler I would think of as an actor.
Yeah,
like Hulk Hogan did a few films and they were all unwatchable trash. Also,
Jesse Ventura
was in a couple of films. Now he was in at least 2 good films.
Yep,
he was in Predator and he's in The Running Man.
Yeah,
and they're both great. He doesn't play the central protagonist though.
No.
And then also John Cena's in a bunch of garbage as well. But for me, it's Roddy Piper and Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
David Bautista seems to be getting up there.
Batista, all of a sudden, I see. You know what happened there? I didn't even think of him as a wrestler there. I was just thinking of him as an actor now. So maybe he is actually the most. Maybe he's done the best job by being, because everything he's been in has been something subtle.
Yeah.
Because he's not in Guardians of the Galaxy. He's not like overly dramatic or anything. He's really like, it's a really subtle, nuanced performance.
Yeah.
And he's in that Blade Runner movie, and he's I was going to say he's not in it that much. That movie's so long that someone who's not in it that much is still in it quite a bit. That Blade Runner 2049. So he's in that at the beginning, and he's in the new Dune movie, I think, as well.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I haven't seen it yet, but
I'm very excited to see that. Yeah. I really want to see that.
Ooh, maybe we'll get caught with sandworms or something soon.
I really hope not. That's terrifying, but you never know.
But yeah, Roddy Piper and John Carpenter are probably the two that started that whole wrestler as actor thing. Especially Carpenter kind of seeked Roddy Piper out. He, if it's to be believed, like Tom Cruise and all these other people, were kind of earmarked to be playing Roddy's character, but John Carpenter wanted someone who looked like they might have been living the existence that he was, that the character is. Like going from town to town. He's a bit of a drifter, and he's just getting these
mullet,
yeah, and that mullet, of course. No one's mullet was as good.
He wears it well.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, he wears it as well as anyone could.
But no, it's a weird movie. It shouldn't work, but it really does.
Yeah, and it also has, as we mentioned earlier, it has my favorite movie fight of all time that just goes, I mean, because it goes from being like a bit of a slap fight to going on to the point where you're like, this is fucking stupid, and then it goes on so long and gets so odd. It's weirdly like good and believable in a way at some point, and then you're just like, this has been going on so long now that I love it. I love this fight because it's been going on for like 10 minutes.
And it's messy, and it's
messy, and it's sloppy, and it's just 2 big beefy dudes knocking lumps out of each other in an alleyway.
And I don't know if this is true. Apparently some of that might be real, and I don't think there was any animosity between Roddy Piper and Keith David, but they're both kind of apparently quite competitive and things like that, so they wanted a bit of a proper punch up. So I don't know if it's real, but I kind of like to imagine it is.
Like trying to figure out who would actually win this fight between us. Let's find out. Okay, fair enough. I can get on board with that.
Yep.
But it's something that's been taken off. There's a particularly good parody of it in an episode of South Park.
Yes.
Between Timmy and Jimmy.
Yep. The cripple fight.
Because that fight starts off the same way, where you're like, it's just them having a wee fight, And then if you're as a big a fan of They Live as I am, you'll suddenly realize, oh my god, this is the fight from They Live. And then you know it's going to go on, and then it does go on, especially like for a cartoon. It goes on, for a TV show cartoon that's like episodes are like 20 minutes, it goes on way too long. But then that's what makes it work as well.
Yeah.
It's very, very good. So yeah, I really love this film. I think that everyone in it's pretty damn good for what they're doing.
Yep.
We also have...
we even get Evil Lynn.
I know, I was just going to say...
The actress Meg Foster.
We have Meg Foster with her scurry blue eyes.
Yeah.
that she always seems to be cast because of, maybe. Like, she has this sort of... She's a very good actress, but also she just has this piercing look.
Yeah.
That just, like, you just feel like, I can't trust you. She seems untrustworthy, the whole time. Every time she says anything, she's like, "No, she's up to something.
Yeah,
no, she's definitely up to something." Look at the way she's not quite smiling.
I just need a glass of water. I'm quite thirsty. Yeah, I don't believe you.
Yeah, right. So yeah, this film has stuck with me for a long time. I think I'd seen it when I was I think I saw a bit of it when I was very young, and then it stuck with me, so that when I saw it, I think it was mainly like the idea of him putting on these glasses and seeing something different was one of these things that, like, it was something that I think I saw when I was a kid, and it stuck with me, and I had this idea in my head, and then I remember having a revelation when I saw it later, when I was going, I gotta watch all the John Carpenter movies when I was a teenager, and just being like, getting like halfway through and be like, oh my god, this is the movie. This is the one. And that was kind of cool for me. So I still kind of get that feeling when I watch it. I remember it being this sort of thing I accidentally discovered that I'd seen a bit of before. And like, I get that sort of thing. I don't know. That's not really something that's going to be relatable to anybody but me.
Can I just say as an aside, it's great that we're actually watching good John Carpenter movies now. We started off this podcast with one of his worst.
We started close to the bottom, and then we went all the way to the bottom by
watching vampires. Oh, I forgot about that one.
Watching vampires, and then subsequently, I think 2 or 3 episodes later, watching Ghosts of Mars. So
it's good to actually show just how good he actually is, or can be, that and he's such a unique kind of voice in movies, like I can't see anyone else making it. Like, could you imagine if they did a remake of They Live? It would be absolute garbage.
Don't remake John Carpenter movies. Like, no. He's the guy that does, he did a good remake,
yeah,
at one point, but don't. How about that? Nobody ever remake They Live. It's fine as it is. All right, leave it the fuck alone. John Carpenter. Well, John, someone keeps cutting into our great broadcast with secret pirate signals. It's becoming very aggravating.
Yeah.
It's just a man sitting at a desk eating ice cream and laughing at something off camera that we can't see. But for some reason, that's making me unreasonably, irrationally raging.
Plus, I'm kind of intrigued. I'm kind of intrigued and annoyed that they seem to have better programs than we do.
Yeah, well, the man eating ice cream show. Yeah, there's something fascinating about it, isn't there?
Yeah,
like, what flavor's the ice cream? Because, like, it's kind of like, I don't know if they're trying to do like a Repo Man thing or what, but it's just a generic white tub that says ice cream on it in black block letters, which looks cool to me, but and it's making me raging. So, in the spirit of that, John, what did you think of the irrationally aggravating signal in the movie Videodrome? How did you find David Cronenberg's Videodrome?
What is Videodrome?
I don't know. Still, I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, I enjoy Videodrome. Maybe not as much as these other two movies. A bit of a spoiler for the end of our podcast, but it's pretty good. It's got a lot of it would turn a lot of people off in the sense that like it's a lot of like violent imagery and like violent sexual imagery. Like there's parts of it that look like a snuff movie, and it's meant to because it's the whole thing that this is what intrigues James Woods' character to like hunt down Videodrome. But it's got a lot of the Cronenberg weirdness to it, which
does, yes,
which helps.
Yeah.
The let's say human VCR player.
The human VCR
or
player,
the VHS player, sorry.
I would go so far as to call it a stomach vagina.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you want to call it human VCR player and just not get right to the point. I don't know.
Yeah. It's crazy. But again, like with They Live, there's a good message here. There's a good, interesting message. This seems to be like it's like the conservative fever dream of what TV and the media does to people. Like this is almost like this exaggerated view of what they think. It's like you watch one thing and that's it. You're off killing people and having sex with your stomach.
Yeah, it seems to be taking that crazy concept that some people believe and be like, what if there was a thing that would do that?
Yeah.
And then, which is why I think they sort of, because that's ludicrous, they have to sort of address what it is in kind of vague terms. They do explain it a fair bit, but they still leave it a little confusing as to exactly what it is.
Yeah.
If it's just like a signal, or like they seem to imply that it's not the images themselves, it's the signal behind the images that that you would be seeing.
Yeah.
But the images are, it's something about the fact that it is violence that triggers something in your brain that makes you more susceptible to the signal, which is why they couple the two things together.
Yeah.
And then they can basically induce custom hallucinations or make you more susceptible and you do the hallucinations yourself. or the hallucinations are semi-real, maybe. It has that wonderful thing about it where I've seen this film. This is probably the third or fourth time in my life I think I've seen this film.
Yeah.
And I'm still not sure whether or not the hallucinations are manifesting in reality or not.
Yeah, it's very unclear and intentionally leaves it open-ended.
Yeah.
I mean, there's even the whole thing. One of the things I love about it is this ridiculously named character, Brian Oblivion.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he does straight up say, that's not my real name.
Yeah, well, this is what I'm going to say. Like, I love the fact that this is something that is more prevalent these days. We live in a world where YouTubers are watched probably more by the kind of younger generation than actual TV. And they don't use the real names.
They don't.
You've got your PewDiePies and all that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what Brian Oblivion is.
He straight up says, this is my television name. And he's like, in the future, everyone will have a television name.
Yeah.
And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh my God. Oh my God, he's right.
Yeah.
He's completely right. Yeah, like PewDiePie is known as PewDiePie. That's not his name.
No, of course not.
Game Over Greggy. People call him, that's what he is.
Yeah.
He's called, Angry Joe is Angry Joe. I don't know what Angry Joe's real name is.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
the list goes on.
The list goes on and on and on. Some people do use their real given names for their YouTube channel.
I would say they're in the minority, though.
Yeah. And it's hard to know whether or not that's a result of them wanting to cloak their identity. I feel like it's not that. I feel like it's they couldn't get their own name because someone already registered it, so they had to make up a silly name, which is the reason for most screen names. Is like someone on this system already like has your name, so you have to call yourself KevTor57 instead or whatever.
Damn, no, that's taken.
Damn, I said it out loud. Yeah, so. But yeah, as soon as he said that, I was like, oh my god, this film is so prophetic. But all three of these films are incredibly prophetic.
Yeah.
All three of these films are, we can see where this is going if nobody does anything. And I guess nobody did anything, because here we are.
I mean, this even has like a whole VR headset thing that in it, you know, that just what you're saying, you know, when they're trying to induce the visions more with James Woods' character, you know, they put him in this thing and you're just sitting there going, yep.
Yeah, as soon as he put it on, I was like, I've got one of them.
Yeah, I went out of my way to buy one of them a while ago. Yeah. I'm an idiot.
Yeah, they didn't force their way into my house and make me wear it. I paid them money for the privilege. So yeah, I paid for Videodrome. Yeah, I guess that's ultimately what they wanted. Yeah. So yeah, this film's. I don't want to say this film is fun necessarily, but it kind of is at times. Mostly, it's slightly disturbing, grotesque, uncomfortable, grimy,
and by design, it seems you know, it doesn't. The juxtaposition between this and They Live, where They Live's more of a fun kind of run down this, you know, this dystopian future or present that we live.
Exactly, They Live is striking. When it hits you, it does hit you, and you're like, oh wow, yeah, that's pretty serious. But it's done with a wink and a nod and a smile.
Yeah.
But also like a knowing wink and a nod and a smile. Like, we know this is real. We're having fun with it. But, you know, we're also not going to shy away from the fact that this is maybe a bad thing. And we are satirizing it. This is more, no, here it is. And we're going to be brutal about it. And we're just going to shove it right in your face and say, this is the logical extreme of this.
Yeah. And
it's well executed. It's David Cronenberg. He knows how to make inanimate objects weirdly disturbing. There's a lot of like,
make them pulsate in weird ways,
like veins, and make them look like they have heartbeats.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, it's just.
I also like there's kind of early on. There's a moment where Debbie Harry's character and James Woods' character are being interviewed, along with Brian Oblivion, actually. And it comes across that she's a bit more conservative than he is when the cameras are on, you know, in this interview, and then behind closed doors, she's the one who's less conservative, you know. So it's this whole thing of like trying to hide who they really are as well. You know, there's elements of that in it. There's a lot going on in this movie. It kind of, I don't know. The end's kind of weird. It feels to me that it kind of just fizzles out in a way. Like, but I wonder, is that again by design? Is this not meant to be kind of like it wants to leave it open and ended? I kind of get that, but no, like overall, it seems well enough paced. The characters are done well. Like, there's. Something, James Woods has something kind of weird about him anyway. Like, he can play these intense kind of, I don't know if I really like you characters.
Yeah, scuzzballs.
Yeah.
Skeezix. Yeah, like, just like, because he is skeezy and sleazy, and like, that's the thing about his character is, his character, he is who he is. He doesn't shy away from, you know, letting people know the kind of person that he is, really.
Yeah.
You know, he is on, like you're saying, like Debbie Harry's characters acts a bit conservative on TV, and then behind closed doors she's into some stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas he's just like, this is what I do, and I don't care. You know, don't persecute me for it. It's not my fault.
Yeah. He's just looking to profit on it, you know.
Yeah, and he's honest about that.
Yeah. Which again, current, like, you know, a common thread in these three movies is this whole like just trying to profit on these things.
How is this going to affect the bottom line? Really is a lot of people's concern. It seems to me all these films are made by, I feel like, filmmakers who have been in the business for just about long enough to become really jaded against it. You know, John Carpenter, it's 1988, I think, you know, and he'd made a lot of movies at this point. He'd done a few TV movies and stuff as well, so he'd worked in television. Sidney Lumet, we'll get to him later, but he's a man with an incredibly large back catalogue of TV movies and films, cinema movies. And of course, David Cronenberg had made quite a number of films at this point as well. He's the kind of guy that would, when he comes out with a film, people would talk about it in ways where they're like, this is corrupting children. And like, if children are seeing these movies, you're doing a bad job if you let your kids see. Now, again,
if you let your kids see Videodrome.
Yeah, you're doing a bad job.
Which I think I seen as a kid.
Yeah, I saw it when I was too young. Again, this is another one of those David Cronenberg movies, much sort of to my point, really. Like, we were talking about The Fly last week, David Cronenberg's The Fly, and how we both saw it definitely too young, and pretty much everyone I talk to who likes the movie saw it when they were a little bit too young to have seen it and was a little bit disturbed by it. But all those people I'm talking about are at this point quite well-rounded, pretty cool people. So I don't think, you know, you're demonizing the...
But that's coming from you, and you seen it when you were too young, so you're twisted.
Oh, my perspective is warped. Is that what you're saying? Okay,
so we're already damaged goods.
Indeed. So is that the point of Videodrome, then?
Maybe. I don't know.
Is that what Videodrome's about? I don't know. I am going to say that when you hold it up against... I know that's sort of the point of this show. Like, we take these three movies and we compare them. I think Videodrome is marvelous. I think Videodrome is... it makes its point, and it makes its point bluntly.
Yeah.
And that's sort of that's exactly what they're trying to do.
And it has that, like, it's interesting in that sense that it makes sense that it was Cronenberg that did it, and that it has all these body horror things, because it kind of feeds in to this whole over-sexualization of things as well, and he turns it into something that's gross, something that's grotesque, like that stomach vagina that they keep putting the videotapes into. You know, when you say it out loud, it sounds ridiculous. When you see it, you're like,
it's really horrible. It's the fact that they lead up to it as well by having him, like, he's got like an itch on his stomach, and it's just sort of this red kind of rash almost that it starts out as, and then and
by the way, for 83, the effect of like that first time he kind of puts his hand on it, that effect is amazing. It looks incredible. He even stands up, and you're like, how did they do that? Like, the arm looks a bit weird, but how the fuck did they do that back then? You know?
Yeah, it's marvelous. Again, like what we were saying about The Fly the other week in comparison to Splice, and how CG versus a physical effect.
Yeah,
you know, and when you look at 1980s David Cronenberg, even through into the 90s, even like David Cronenberg never really leaned on CG stuff, as far as I know, because although like Existence doesn't, I haven't seen Existence in a long time.
Yeah, same here.
But I remember the physical effects in it being great, and it was made, I think, early 2000s, late 90s maybe, at a time when someone like David Cronenberg probably could have had the budget to throw around to maybe skip over the effects and go to CG and try and do it that way, but he didn't. And it's nasty and grotesque, and there's a whole chunk of that movie takes place in like a fish gutting factory for no friggin' reason.
That's right.
Just because they wanted to have lots of fish guts and stuff everywhere. I don't know. I think that was tied up in the plot with the machine. Anyway, I'm not talking about Existence. I'm talking about Videodrome. So yeah, the effects in this movie are brilliant. They all serve a purpose. They're all extremely blunt visual metaphors.
Yeah.
But then also, again, there is a certain aspect to I don't know if this is a hallucination. I assume it is, but there's something about the things that are happening that you're like, but maybe this is real?
Yeah.
Because maybe he did put a gun inside his belly and then it closed up and it's just in there now. Or maybe it's like just how he's viewing things and it's really in a holster. I don't know. They don't clarify that to the point where, and I like the mystery of like whether or not, because people are like seemingly putting tapes into him.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, is that guy actually doing that to him?
I think it's
what?
at that point it's more the, and this might put some people off it more than anything. I think it's more to do with the message and what the story's trying to tell, the subtext of it, rather than what's actually happening, or is this real? Or, I think at that point it does become more conceptual, and whether or not it's to the betterment of it is up to the individual. Yeah,
it maybe doesn't. It's maybe going to matter to someone else more than it matters to me, whether or not that's clear. I like that it's unclear. I like the idea that maybe,
especially like if you look at reviews on this, they're very divided. People will either hate it or love it. There seems to be very few kind of middling reviews. And you can see why. From the very start, there's a lot of things to put you off it. That snuff type video thing. When he initially finds Videodrome, it's hard to watch, and you're kind of like, you are going, what the fuck am I in here for? I don't want to watch this shit. Again, it's done intentionally to make you're not meant to feel comfortable. You're meant to almost kind of be questioning, why is he so interested in this? Why is he going after this? And why is he going down this rabbit hole? But a lot in it. Again, keep saying it, all three of these movies have so much more than just like, there's not one simple message in them. There's so much other things going on that they're very interesting.
It's this film is so layered. They Live is so layered. Network is very, very layered as well. And that being said, I think it's time to move on to Network. Well, John, the rage has subsided, and I'm just feeling more sort of disenfranchised, I guess, now.
No, don't let the rage subside. Get angry.
Oh, okay. Get angry. What? But what do I do now? I need someone in a position of authority, or at least an imagined seeming position of authority, to tell me where to direct my rage.
Maybe like a pulpit or something, like like that. Like,
like someone up
someone
on
who's got some kind of
like a
platform.
A platform that they can proselytize from. Maybe, like, I don't know, John, how about we just cut straight to it without all this and say, John, what are all the things you would like to say about Network from 1976, directed by the great Sidney Lumet / Lumet, depending on how polite he was.
I'll probably keep calling him Lumet when Network is one of my all-time favorite movies. It's incredible, and I'll just talk about Sidney Lumet for a while, because he really is incredible. Like, he has made so many good movies, so many great movies. Dog Day Afternoon, which is just incredible. Just go see that if you haven't.
One of the best, if not the best, movie about a bank robbery.
Yes, yeah.
There are some good bank robbery movies out there, but Dog Day Afternoon is the one that, like, initially I'll think of Heat. Has a bit in it that is about robbing banks, and it's brilliant. But Dog Day Afternoon's one of those, like, the whole film is about the robbery happening, and it's intense, and it's moving, and it's
all
funny,
the characters are like,
sad.
He's got this brilliant way of just kind of making. He won't make his movie. His movies are always very serious, or about very serious stuff, but he manages to get a bit of humor in there as well, and he manages to get these characters that are very well rounded. It might just be a case if he knows who to surround himself with, as far as, like, script writers and things like that go. But so he's done that. He's done another one of my personal favorites, 12 Angry Men. He did the original version of that, the 1957 version, which is incredible. All takes place in one room and is captivating from start to finish. He's done what else? I'm just kind of freaking out. Serpico, yes, which is absolutely fantastic. True story.
Yeah, again, one of the best undercover cop movies
Yes.
ever made.
Yeah.
Serpico, easily.
And it tends to do a lot of movies about corruption with authority figures and things like that, and to know that's no different. And Network definitely goes into that as well. To know,
Oh, heavily.
like, there's so much with Network. Like these other two movies, they live in Videodrome, are like pale comparisons, and for me anyway.
Yeah.
In the sense that like everything that Network says, they say, but maybe not as good. Some people, like, you could argue it's all personal, but for me, like, the performances are stunning. There's not one bad performance. And Peter Finch as
he's so
Hard Bill is
so brilliant. He's so good.
Yeah.
He is so good at playing, because that character that he plays, Hard Bill, the mad prophet of the airwaves, or whatever it is they end up calling him.
We live with. They're everywhere now.
Yeah, like the character's so nuanced, and like, it's really like, you're never sure where you are with him.
Yeah.
Because he might be completely deranged. In fact, he is deranged.
Yeah.
There's not really a question about whether or not he is unhinged and out of touch with reality, but he is also weirdly in touch with reality.
Yeah.
He's weirdly making extremely good points.
Yeah.
All the time, but then he'll go off on like an unhinged rant, which is kind of like, again, there's so much like characters being a metaphor for aspects of television.
Yeah.
That's like, okay, yes, like the news. I mean, the whole thing about this, the idea that this is a news show is insane.
Yeah.
But you look at some American specifically news channels, and they're not that far off.
I would say they're exactly like this. You know, you no longer have you know, and actually I should say Faye Dunaway is absolutely incredible in this movie.
Yeah.
She embodies that character. But
my God, yes.
Her entire, like, her character's entire ethos is what a lot of these news channels, like, you know, Fox News has so many hard bills in it.
Yep.
And they're not the only one. I'm just using that because that's the example that springs to mind.
Yeah, but they're one of the most egregious examples, though. I mean, like, you switch on Fox News at any time of the day, you're going to find a lunatic on the camera.
And like
one of the people on the camera will be a lunatic who has no grasp on reality, talking about their opinion as if it's a fact.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's you know, it's scary when you want. And in fact, there was a wee thing that I read somewhere where I forget the actor's name. He's a very well-known actor, but he had a load of students kind of watch this movie, and none of them kind of viewed it as satire. They didn't realize it was meant to be a satirical movie because that's the reality that they live in. It's just unreal. Like, you could write multiple, I'm sure someone has, you could write multiple essays on just how profound this movie is, and like just
you could do, if you were like a sociology student, you could write a dissertation based around this film
definitely
easily, and the impact of like how, because again, like, all three of these films are extremely prophetic with here's how, like, to them, I guess at the time, you know, in the 80s and with this film the mid 70s, here's how television, here's where it feels like it's going.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all completely correct in a way that is, I mean, when you talk about they live, you know, there aren't necessarily a secret race of people, but you know,
that you know of.
Or maybe there are. Again, no, this
everyone
is the Fox
are lizard
News.
people.
All right, stop it. All right. But yeah, this film does so much. Like, I guess TV was going that way, and you know, it's like reality TV. I think is maybe like really took off in like late 90s or like early 2000s. I guess is a good example of what they were predicting. That's sort of also what Videodrome is about too. But like network, it's just like, let's put this guy who's just like this in front of the camera, and people will gawp at him. But but then also is people might listen to him because he's on a TV screen, or nowadays, this person's got a YouTube channel and has 1 million plus subscribers. Therefore, they have some kind of cachet, or they are to be believed or trusted.
Yeah.
I think is maybe the point of this movie, is that this person is on this network, this person is on this thing, and they're charismatic.
Yeah.
And then they say something, and I just believe it. I just go along with it because they're on TV. And that's not the only point of this movie. That's the one that always sticks with me with this film.
Yeah, I mean, I love the whole. Like, there's so many different plots. It's not just Hardby like kind of having this breakdown and things like that. You know, you've got William Holden's character, Max Schumacher,
who's a fucking dick. I'm just gonna say it. I don't like that guy.
No,
he's
like, weirdly, he's the most moralistic, but he's still no morals. He's still like he is devoid of like he's meant to be Hard's friend, and he kind of doesn't really do anything to help. He tries at the start, but it's crazy. And like his whole relationship with Faye Dunaway's character, and then you've got this whole thing with the communists who she's getting, like, again, that's what you're saying with
that's reality TV.
Yeah, the reality TV show. And plus it's even like at one point she says something along the lines of, I don't care what you say. As long as I'll give you this hour slot, say whatever the fuck you want. As long as we get ratings, that's it. And it's just brilliant. Like, she is so devoid of any. Well, actually, no, I was going to say she's so devoid of any human characteristics, but she isn't. Like, that's what makes her even better. She's not
that's the problem. She suffers a lot.
Yeah.
She is miserable. She smiles and she's excited and stuff, but in all the moments in between, when she's not actively working, she's fucking miserable. She is a miserable person, even to the point where William Holden's character Max, who I hate, but is our sort of vector for. He makes a lot of very straightforward points.
Yeah,
he'll stand there and he'll say, this is what's happening and I don't like it, and here's why. There's a point where he is shouting at her and he says, you are television.
Yes, yeah.
Because she is she's shallow and she is like instant gratification almost. They do this weird thing with her where sexually she is like she just gets off immediately and it is done. And it's like this weird thing about,
and the whole
like,
time she's talking about her show's ratings being so high that's why she's getting off. And you're like, she's instant gratification, but ultimately there's very little substance there, which is, them saying this is TV nowadays, and it's even more TV nowadays. So she is that, but then it's also like, but it's miserable and you're miserable because of it. And it's like, and again, I don't like Max, but he's a very important character in the movie. Definitely,
Peter Finch's character, Howard, the mad prophet of the airwaves, is, I mean, you want to talk about like actors that maybe don't get remembered enough. Peter Finch, exclusively just, I mean, he's done other things, but his performance in this movie alone is incredible. Like,
not just those big speeches and the times when he's manic, the other times, like the build up to it, and the times where he actually another. See, this is the problem. Like, as soon as you say one thing, it's like, oh, I have to mention this. Ned Beatty, as the kind of owner of this company, when there's a point where he takes Peter Finch into his office and has a bit of a go at him, and
that's a fucking scene right there.
The two of them are
God.
amazing.
Yeah, that is incredible. You expect there to just be static electricity jumping between them through that whole scene. There's just these two amazing character actors just really just going off the chain.
Yeah,
because like he's fitting almost.
Yeah.
Peter Finch is sitting in a chair like he's having, and I don't know. I feel like they're implying some kind of neurological condition, maybe. I feel like it's some kind of epileptic condition that is affecting, like, if you want to try and explain it outside of the metaphors and that, it feels like it is some kind of epilepsy or something that is affecting him neurologically that is causing him to behave in this way, because he is passing out a lot and he seems like he's having fits, but that he looks like he's fitting in that scene, while Ned Beatty is at the other end of the room, over mad profiting the mad prophet at him.
But part of me doesn't know if that is the character doing that as a manipulative thing, or is he mental as well? And
is that just what he's like?
Yeah, it never goes into it much more. You know very little about that character, and I think that's one of, and even the lead up to that moment, the camera use, just to go back to Sidney Lumet, and just how good of a director he is. That there's like a wonderful moment where they kind of leave Robert Duvall, who's amazing in this as well.
He's so good. He's such a ball bag. Oh, he is. I'm sorry to use that. That's such a crass and not very descriptive term, really. But he is a ball bag.
He really is. But like, it played amazingly. But in that scene, like the camera kind of follows Ned Beatty and Peter Finch as they go into the room and kind of leave Robert Duvall standing in the previous room, and something so simple, but it just brings up all these questions. Like, you don't know what's happening at this point. You're like, is Peter Finch going in there? Is Robert Duvall's character in trouble, or is Peter Finch's? Like, you don't really know what's going on, and it's just very strange. And then they get into this crazy opulent room that is unlike anything we've seen to this point. Like, everything feels very real in this movie, as well. Like, it's almost shot like a documentary at times, But it's just incredible.
It's amazing. I knew in advance, John, that you were gonna have a lot to say about this movie.
The
thing is, it's not just like your sudden revelation that Sidney Lumet is one of the best filmmakers possibly who ever lived, but also just like there is so much in this film. There's almost too much.
We're not going to be able to cover anything, and it's going to annoy me when I listen back to this. Whenever we're checking it and stuff, I'll be sitting here going, "Oh, I should have said this. I should have mentioned that. I know this wee story. I know that." And even the fact of like the kind of work ethic of Sidney Lumet. There's stuff that I was reading. Faye Dunaway was just completely delighted. She said he's one of the best directors she ever worked with because everything was ready. He gets there early to work out all his blocking and things like that. All this kind of quote unquote boring stuff that you have to do. To get your camera ready.
I bet
and all
he
that.
Loves doing it though.
I think he does. And so like she was saying, like you just appear and that's it. And they have a 2-week rehearsal. Apparently this is like a common thing. He does it for all his movies. He gets everyone and they act it out like a play.
Okay.
And apparently this cuts down on them having to do cuts and do this. And do you know that the speech, I'm mad as hell and
I'm not going to take it anymore?
Yeah, that whole speech was done in 2 takes.
Wow.
And Peter Finch,
I bet they were both great takes as well.
Well, they're spliced together because the reason was he couldn't get through the second one because he actually had a heart condition. He died not long after that. I don't think he he died at the award ceremony of it or something like that, or maybe when they were promoting it or something. But he never got his Academy Award, I think, for this movie. in person.
Yeah.
But yeah, absolutely. Just
Yeah.
I would say to anyone, like this should be essential viewing for anyone because it's just it's amazing.
It is fantastic. Now, I'm not going to say it's perfect. I feel like it should be even-handed here and say like, well, yes, this movie's brilliant and it makes a lot of great points and it's very well written and the performances of everyone involved are just peak.
Yeah.
They're so good. There's something I didn't remember about it from the last time I saw it, and then when I saw it this time I found it a little jarring. There are some points where we have time jumps.
Yes.
And during those time jumps there is all of a sudden narration.
Yes.
And I found that to be a little jarring. Because every time one of them happened I felt like it was about to lead into something climactic, and then we got here we are like 3 to 6 months later and someone is talking over it. That's the only points where I was like, I'm not sure about this.
Yeah.
But it is such a minor complaint.
Yeah.
I felt like I had to point out, I felt like I have to be even-handed and find at least,
that's
you always
fair.
feel like you have to find something to criticize, and it is something I don't necessarily like. I don't generally like narration in films.
Yeah.
Because I do like the show don't tell thing. Sometimes you do need to tell people, so you have someone say it.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, because that's something that to me it helps that almost documentary style feel of it. But I could see, you're completely right. It's something that it's a choice that isn't going to please everyone. Yeah,
it kind of almost makes it feel like something off TV here and there, which I guess is maybe an intention. Especially, I don't want to say what happens at the very end, but at the very end there is a voiceover happening.
Yeah. Over the end of this film,
which is so the tone of the end of the movie is just so spot on, and like just it's two tones happening at once that are fighting each other in a way that you're just like. This is a master of his craft at the top of his game.
Definitely.
You're just like, it's upsetting.
Yeah.
It's upsetting that there's these two things on the screen at the same time, and it's completely also the point of the film as well. It's so good and so prophetic, and like I cannot stress enough how much he predicted reality television and how almost exactly right he got it.
And not only reality TV, but the kind of what would you call it of the news, like the dumb and down or the sensationalization,
sensationalizing,
this whole idea of like making these, no better word for it, these mad prophets instead of mad prophets so that they can make mad profits.
Indeed. Oh, John, were you sitting on that one, were you?
No, actually. I think I stole it off someone, though. I think it's actually a Terry Pratchett one, probably. If I like said it, it's probably someone I stole off Terry Pratchett.
It's been in there for like 20 years and it just crawled out.
But, like, I mean, it's another example of these, 2-hour movies, 2-hour plus movies that just flies by, and you could have watched another hour at least of it.
Yeah.
For me anyway. But I'm slightly biased, I reckon.
I don't think you're biased. I think it's just, I think you've just come to appreciate a director.
Yeah.
And that's a good that's a good thing, I think, because now it's like you got a mission now. Now you have to watch all of his films.
Well,
and
true,
so many.
So many. Yeah.
He has so many films. And I bet they're all at least good.
Yeah, I mean,
probably.
He was making movies right up until was it 2017 or something? Or 7? Sorry. Before The Devil Knows You're Dead. And this is someone who started making movies for TV, in fairness, but in the 1950s,
which gave him a unique perspective for this film. I think. Yeah. If he's making TV movies, he worked in television a lot.
Exactly, yeah. And so much has obviously worked in, like just what you said earlier of, these are all filmmakers who have been through a lot of shit and been through the system long enough that what they're saying about it, can be taken a lot more serious than, say, like a new start who's like, oh yeah, I'll show them, I know how this works. It's like, yeah, we all kind of know things are corrupt and all that, but I think it definitely, some movies like these need to be made by someone who has lived it, essentially.
Yeah, it's like an insider's perspective, a disapproving insider's perspective as well, which is nice. Like someone who has learned to exist in a system and maybe didn't like the fact that they did have to learn to live inside that system. All right, well, the signal has permeated now, John. It's become a part of me. I am one with the airwaves, etc.
Long live the new flesh,
indeed,
so to speak.
Indeed, long live the new flesh. Yeah. Oh. Again, spoilers for all three of these movies. Long live the new flesh, by the way. So we're going to get into this now, while I'm still me and not the transmission, as it were. So, John, again, feel like I already know the answer to this one for you, definitely. John, which of these was the best movie with the network?
Yeah, it's the network.
It's obviously
not
network.
the network
for you, yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of trying to hold back because I could go on another rant of like these scenes and actors and just this movie's just great. But the other two are also great, but just for me, not on the same level. It's almost unfair having them there, but they're all very different. You know, the network still has these like wee elements of humor in it as well. You know, they very much come from the scenes and the characters. But they lives like a bit more. Like if you wanted kind of something a wee bit more kind of campy, then
I'd say They Live is more overtly having fun with its premise than Network is. Network's humor is derived from like, this is absurd, but it's also definitely real.
Yeah, it's dark humor in a sense. You know, it's maybe not as dark as a lot of other movies, but you know, when you get right down to it, they are abusing this man's kind of mental breakdown. Yeah, and you know, kind of they feel nothing for it. You know, they're more concerned about the ratings. They use them and discard them whenever they need. And it's quite disturbing when you actually look at it, and it plays off like that as well. But Videodrome, not much humor in it, but it's interesting conceptually. It's like a different take on this stuff.
Videodrome is not a laugh a minute affair.
It's very kind of, it can be a bit much. I enjoy it, and I know you enjoy it. You know, I could see why some people would kind of hit off it and not really get anything out of it.
Yeah, there's people who just don't like Cronenberg. Yeah. And I understand it. I am a big fan of Cronenberg. Yep. He has this ability to, as I say, and you'll have to forgive my language, John, but he has this great ability to give me the heebie-jeebies.
Oh, sorry. Oh.
I know.
Can we bleep that out, maybe?
I don't know if we should. I think people need it raw. Yeah. If Videodrome taught me anything. Ooh. Or maybe.
So what would you?
Probably actually was trying to teach me the opposite. I don't know what Videodrome was trying to teach me now, I guess.
To me it does seem like it's Cronenberg's finger to the kind of conservative side. You know,
like, here's how stupid what you believe is.
Like it does seem. It seems very ridiculous, which is why I think a lot of it works for me. You know, the grotesque imagery and the kind of weirder parts of it kind of feed into that whole idea of, you know, you actually believe this on some level, you fucking morons.
Look how crazy and absurd that is. But I mean, and it is absurd in its grotesquerie. Yeah, certainly. Like a lot of David Cronenberg's movies. I mean, again, last week we talked about The Fly and how it really pushes the boundaries of physical grotesque
Yeah.
at times, where you're just like, I got the shivers. This film doesn't give me quite the horrible shivers that The Fly gives me,
No.
but it still does give me like, it makes me uncomfortable.
Because it kind of doesn't seem as real. You know, The Fly kind of
Yeah.
feels like it's happening. The Videodrome, once the kind of weirdness happens, you do, like, for me anyway, I was kind of always thinking, you know, this is him hallucinating and all, you know, so there is a detachment that your brain can work in.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a survival thing that my brain did.
Yeah, you didn't want to be, your brain was like, no, we're not being traumatized today, thank you very much. This is basically just a big rubbery cartoon. Yeah, so there is that. They Live is wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wee bit slow to start, I think.
I think almost intentionally, though, to know.
Yeah, it eases you in a way, I think.
Like, even though I didn't like that kind of plodding, like, bluesy music that I said was reminiscent of the Vampires music, if not exactly the same, I didn't check.
It's very similar.
It kind of works for this at the start because it's kind of the music itself is aimless, and so is Roddy Piper's character too.
Yeah,
and it kind of like, and as you're saying, it kind of goes on a bit too long, but I don't know. There's something about it that kind of it does work for me. But I love as well I seen it coming, but Meg Foster's character's turn in it, you know, at the end.
Yeah,
I kind of felt was telegraphed a bit, but still appreciated it.
Yeah, she just, I've said it before and I'll say it again. She has this, her eyes just seem like the eyes of a betrayer. I don't know. I assume she's doing it intentionally. I assume it's a part of her acting style when she's playing someone evil, as she is so often cast.
Yeah.
In fact, she's definitely someone who often gets typecast. But it's this sort of like, when she, like, her eyes just sort of close a little bit.
Yeah.
And she just seems like, and she's like, whenever she's being scared or whatever, but it seems like she's actually smiling a little bit because she knows something you don't.
Yeah.
You know, and it's that, and that's what's great about her. That's what's great about her character. Because, and then you see her at one point at the meeting, and as soon as you see her at the meeting, you're like, oh no, she's there to screw these people. Like, there's no fucking way.
They might as well have put on a fake mustache so she could twirl it.
Twiddles, which is brilliant, which is perfect for the film. Yeah. Which is great. So I love They Live. I think everything you said about Network is true, and everything you said about Network is right, and Network is brilliant. I like Videodrome a lot because it's grim and it's gruesome, and it's like it takes a lead pipe attitude to making its point.
Yeah.
They Live is a bit more sort of like nod and a wink, and Network is like, Network covers all bases by being blunt and subtle, all at once, which is why I find it a little difficult to choose because I thoroughly enjoy all three of these films.
Yeah.
This is one of those few times where we have had every single film be kind of brilliant in its own way. Network is probably the best film.
Well, I mean, as we said before, you know, it's not really about that. It's kind of your own personal pick. You know, you can appreciate.
But that's the thing. That's the trouble I'm having. I'm finding it hard to choose between these three films because they're all great. It's
like going against your hero, going against John Carpenter. If you don't pick They Live,
I'm talking about how great his film is. All right, stop it. All right, so They Live. I kind of want to choose They Live, but I just remember how I felt at the end of Network, and that kind of supersedes everything.
Yeah,
I think the feeling Network left me with long after it was over is the thing that really cinches this.
Yeah.
I think. So I think Network is one of the best films I've ever seen. I don't know. Like, that narration bit is the only thing about it. Like, whenever the narration happens, I do find it jarring every time. And it happened, and the thing is, it doesn't happen that often, which makes it, I think, a wee bit more jarring.
I think it happens like 3 times.
It's beginning,
it
middle,
starts
and
with
end,
it,
sort of.
Yeah, because it does that whole thing of like, this is Howard Beale, the only man to have been killed because of ratings. And
he killed because of his ratings. Yeah,
and so it has that at the start and it has it at the end, and then the middle part is kind of the bit that I can see. It's almost weird, I
think there's 2 in the throughout the mid time of the movie. That
it maybe would have been better just to have it at the start and the end.
Yeah,
because then you still have that idea of like, it does evoke that televisual kind of thing.
Yeah, the telenovela. And in conclusion,
and especially at the end, that ending is incredible.
So I think it really works at the end.
Yeah,
the narration works so powerfully well at the end and the beginning, and it's just like that last shot of like the 4 television screens, and one of them is, again, spoilers. We're in the spoiler section. I'm just going to talk about it, where we have the corpse of Howard Beale with a bullet hole in his head, lying down in one screen, and above it you have an ad with this friggin' kid eating like a friggin' ice lolly or something, and you're like, and there's another ad going on over here, and then you get another image of Howard Beale dead, and you're like, you see him being shot over and over again while this advertising is playing with this really inappropriate music, and it's just and then again, it leaves you with this it leaves me with this really sour feeling in my gut that persists, that I'm feeling right now just talking about it. But also it's so well done.
It's that whole thing of,
well done.
Again, it feeds back right into Howard Beale's iconic I'm mad as hell, I'm not taking it anymore speech, that at the end you're mad that these characters who have been taking advantage of him from the start are the ones that come out of this all the better. They're getting exactly what they want. There's no justice in this. There's no, this isn't They Live, where they destroy the satellite and that's it. So that all feeds back into Howard Beale's speech of I'm mad as hell. I'm not going to take it anymore. Mm-hmm. Where that's what you feel at the end of that. Faye Dunaway's character and Robert Duvall and Ned Beatty, they're all they come out of it somewhat unscathed. Okay, there's a bit of like Faye Dunaway's character has all sorts of problems, and they're kind of all her own doing. She's her own worst enemy. But you should feel mad at the end of this. This isn't meant to be like a movie you go, oh, that was nice, and like move on from. It has a serious message to take away from, and I think it delivers it exceptionally well.
Yeah, it's again, as I said, it left a lasting impression on me that I felt the first time I saw it a long time ago, and this time around was even more affecting, because I haven't seen it in a long time. Probably before the last time I saw this was probably before YouTube had become what it is now.
Yeah,
and things,
that's crazy to come back to at that point.
And of things of that ilk on the internet, and really like the rise of the internet and social media, the way it has, like, you could say a lot of these things about social media. And the way corporations treat it. And the way the corporations that run social media,
like in 1976 when this movie was made, they wouldn't have even been able to wrap their heads around like social media in that sense, in the sense that we know it. And for it to, as you're saying, for it to more or less profitize all this happening is insane. But again,
it's so fucking spot on that it is hard to believe they didn't have a goddamn time machine. But I guess that's just
unfortunately it's human nature is what what they're looking at. None of this is coming out of the ether. It is they're looking at the way humans kind of operate, and this is maybe very cynical and whatever, but that's how they did it. You know, they just looked, well, yeah, this is all that matters. Again, it goes back to Ned Beatty's speech of, you know, there are no states, there are no countries. It is all money, and
it's corporations.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I mean, that would go on to be in other media emulated as well, like the idea that a corporation replaced a country. Like a lot of like cyberpunky stuff kind of operates that way. Something like Blade Runner, in fact. You look at Blade Runner and you're like, you know, corporations run the world in Blade Runner.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and then other things that were then influenced by that. You know, so like there's steps down, and there's like wheels within wheels here of like what was influenced by what. But yeah, I mean, it all comes from the initial reality, I guess, of what they were looking at the time and seeing corporations behaving this way. I mean, then you would go on to have movies like Wall Street in the 80s that would kind of typify the same kind of thing, just not specifically in media. In Wall Street, you know, it's just about the money people behind it all, I guess, in that context. So yeah, it's human nature. You can kind of see things coming, I guess, but man, they really nailed it, didn't they? They really nailed it hard. So anyway, so yes, Network is the best one of these films. I love They Live.
I honestly,
Videodrome's great.
I do think it is essential viewing. I think anyone even slightly interested, even you don't need to be like madly into the movies as such either. To know it's an interesting story, well told, right down to its core. To know, you don't need to be sitting there thinking, oh, that's a very well shot scene and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. But I would recommend it to anyone. But we better carry on, or else I'm in danger of going on another wee rant about it. So.
Yeah, let's go and get This Is Dangerous now. So, John, how do we defeat... Obviously, this movie's wormed its way into your mind.
Yep.
This media has taken you over.
Oh, dear.
And I've been corrupted by the signal. You know, I've become part of the transmission, as it were. I've been influenced. I am subsumed, you might say. I want to consume and obey, etc.
Yep.
You know. So, John... how are you going to save me, then? Which one of these movies gave us the best sort of ammunition, as it were, or guidance that we need to save ourselves?
Funny choice of words there, because in all three of them, bullets are used in some shape or form to...
It all comes down to the gun, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, Network and Videodrome, they both take a bullet in the head, or well, Videodrome kind of, it implies it, but They Live... he shoots the satellite, and that seems to sort out everything.
It does seem to
I love that like video game type ending to They Live of like, you know, it's this one satellite, you destroy it, problem solved, mate.
Yeah, you beat the boss, basically.
But yeah, it seems that another of America's favourite pastime, bullets, is the way to destroy satire.
Is it? Oh,
I don't know. I think I don't think it was satire. I don't think it was clever enough to be satire.
No, it's kind of sad. But anyway, moving swiftly on. So is that the answer then? I don't like that answer. I mean, unless we just sort of... I mean, there's a lot of equipment here.
We could shoot the equipment. We don't have to shoot you.
I mean, that's what Roddy Piper did.
Yeah.
At the end of They Live. Now, it didn't necessarily play out well for him.
No.
But he did sort out the problem for the rest of the world, which I guess is our ultimate goal here, really.
Yeah.
You know, like, what happens to us doesn't matter as long as everybody else, as long as the majority of
I mean, we could be smarter about it. You know, he was in a kind of tight situation. He
went in guns blazing, as it were.
I think
quite literally, in fact.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think at one point he's got like 3 guns strapped to him.
He does. Yes, he's got a rifle and 2 pistols and a shotgun. Yeah.
Oh dear. But yeah, I think if we took cover, did the same idea as him, we might come out of it unscratched.
No, I don't have a gun.
Or unscathed. Oh yeah. Okay.
I could jury rig a slingshot out of I guess some of these elastic bands and a paper clip.
I don't think the satellite. See this equipment? They always try to make it seem that it's like, very robust. This equipment breaks very easily. I say we just hit it.
It does. Technical problems abound, don't they, John?
In movies, it's always like, you have to blow it up. It's like, just, I don't know, stand too close to it and it'll probably stop working.
I'm going to just, you know what I'm going to do? Hold on, let me see this way. Right? I'm just going to hit Control Alt. Okay. There's an INI file in here.
Oh.
Now, if I just delete that. Oh, yeah, the whole system has crashed.
Brilliant.
Everything's broken because I deleted one 3 kilobyte text file.
Yep, that sounds about right.
There's something to be said for our over-reliance on technology, I think. I'm relieved. I don't know about you, John, but I could really sit down and watch some good TV shows right about now. Oh, no, we just destroyed TV, though. Oh, does this mean
we'll have to start reading books again?
Well, shit. Well, if we ever get this fixed, we are on Twitter. We are at 7dayapocalypse. That is at numeral 7dayapocalypse. You can email us at filmcast@thisweeksapocalypse.com. That is filmcast@thisweeksapocalypse.com. You can visit our YouTube channel where we upload full episodes there and such. As well, it's just This Week's Apocalypse. Should be able to find it, no problem. Alright, John, so I guess, are you mad as hell and you're not going to take it anymore?
I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore.
Take it anymore!